And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Relics and Runes is the second expansion for Cutthroat Caverns, so if you haven't seen Cutthroat Caverns, haven't played it yet, then I would suggest you go check out my review of that game first. But Relics and Runes is what, if you're looking for variety, this set has it. Not only does it add monsters, more monsters like all the expansions do, but it adds both artifacts, or relics they're called, and events and treasures to the game, which really spices the game up, and every game is going to feel differently from now on. So this is what the game comes with. There's a lot of different components in the game. A deck of event cards, a deck of relic cards, more monsters, tokens for some of the several different monsters in the game, negative prestige tokens, which I'll talk about a little bit of those later. There's plenty of stuff that comes in this box. Let's start by talking about the event cards that come with this deck. At the beginning of each encounter of the game, you turn over an event card. You then look here, and if the number of the encounter, for example, this is encounter number 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. If the number of the encounter, let's say I'm playing encounter number 1, matches this event, then we play with it. If it doesn't, we discard it, and there's no effect at all. Now, for full disclosure purposes, this particular event, Leaders Must Lead, is one that I partially designed. They had a contest for people to come up with new monsters and new ideas, and an idea that I sent in was turned into this event. But in any case, this is the only one that I have. There's plenty of them in the game, and each event causes something different. For example, in this one, whoever attacks for the highest value can swap their initiative cards with someone else. This event here, you're fighting in close quarters, so players only have 4 cards instead of their 7, fewer cards to use. This event here, which has a star in the corner, and the game basically says, the rules basically say, include starred encounters at your own peril. That means they're tougher. In this one, the creature attacks for double damage. Now, these sound difficult, these sound terrible, why would you add them to your game? Okay, one, you might want to challenge, but also, event cards aren't the only cards in this deck. There are treasure cards. For example, this one says, take it, my hands are too full as it is. It says, when this encounter ends, any player who does not have an item in their possession gets a relic card. This one says, anytime someone plays a stab and grab card, they can draw a relic card instead of stealing an item from someone else. And there's lots of different treasure and event cards in this deck, and they keep referring to these relic cards. So let's take a look at the relic cards. Now, relics can be good or bad. They're mostly good, but for example, here's a Cursed Blade. Every time that you use this, you flip a coin. On heads, the attack card that you're playing is doubled. On tails, it's halved, and you take 5 damage. So that's kind of disappointing. But then there's ones like this, the Clasp of Hope, which give you 5 life points at the beginning of each round. The Blood Ruby, it's worth 3 prestige points. And since it's an item, it can be stolen from you, so you can imagine the fun that this introduces to the game. The Totem of Overkill. Whenever you do damage to creatures, and you do excess damage, you can apply it to other creatures, and that helps when you're fighting like the Pack of Wolves, or the bunch of tentacles. And this one's worth 1 prestige, but you can sacrifice it to avoid all damage and such. And so there's lots of different relics in the game, and they really add a lot of variety. 15 new monsters are included with the game, and again, these also add some vigor and some more variety to the game, and many of them have to do with the relics and how they work. The Fiery Dreadnought is just a nasty beast, because if you don't do a certain amount of damage to him each round, then all the damage that's done to him is instead added to his totals. One of the most difficult creatures to kill in the game. Mercury, I really like Mercury, because when the Mercury attacks, it's kind of like that old video game where you have this blob, and once you kill the blob, it splits into 2 small blobs, and once you kill those, they each split into small blobs. And if you don't kill these blobs fast enough, they reform into the next largest blob the next turn. That's just a cool idea, one I've always enjoyed. Then you got, like I said, some of these monsters have to do with relics. This guy, if he attacks you, he'll take a rune token and place it on one of your relics, ruining it. Very irritating, or at least it's less. Once 2 of them on there, 2 rune tokens are on an item, it's destroyed. The Servant of Vengeance. Every time he hits somebody, that player can hit someone else. And then the player that they hit can hit someone else, and this can continue until finally someone decides to stop the chain. This guy can end the game right here. Vampire. He can turn people into vampires, except for one player, and he's the main cause, because why you're a vampire, of giving players negative prestige points. Very dangerous monster. In fact, most of the monsters in this set are very dangerous. The Venom Slinger has a chance to poison you, which lowers your attack and gives you extra damage. And these poison tokens will stay on your character even into future encounters. So these are some of the neat monsters, but my favorite monster, not only of this set, but of the game in general, is the Wereboar, which is modeled after the werewolf from Who's the Werewolf, or just the game called Werewolf. And when you attack this Wereboar, whenever he damages someone, they will draw one of these cards that say, "Are you a Wereboar?" Which simply say on the other side, "No," or if you're very, very unlucky, it will say yes. You keep these cards hidden. At the end of the game, everybody reveals a card if they have one, and if one of the players has the yes card, they become the Wereboar. Everyone has to fight that one character. If they beat them, the game ends like normal. Player with the most prestige points wins. However, if the Wereboar, the person who is the Wereboar, manages to kill everybody else, then they win the game. Very interesting, very fun dynamics, because as the game progresses, people say, "I think you're a Wereboar, because otherwise you would have taken those prestige points, and you don't seem to care about those that much." A lot of fun. Great addition to the game. So do I recommend this game, and the answer, or this expansion, and the answer is a resounding yes. I mean, granted, I like the Wereboar itself, but there are plenty of other monsters included in the game. You have more tokens. You have these relics, which really get people excited. If you know anything about role-playing games, it's when you get that great item +3 sword or what have you. People really enjoy that, and this helps that. And then the event cards add such a variety, because if you think you combine event cards with the 30, 40, 50 monsters that you have just tons of different variations which players can come up against. Does it make the game harder? Well, it comes about even, because even though these event cards will toughen the levels and these monsters are much harder, many times the relics will help counter that, and players might work together a little bit more. Although if that Wereboar's in the game, maybe not. But that's the point of the game. Are you a Wereboar? Are you a traitor? Only one person can survive, and this expansion pounds that point home.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.